Alright, so I'm going to give you a close-up view of the front panel of this Viking II. It's got some wear. Jerry here, D-Lab. I just finished up a repair on a Johnson Viking II transmitter that I recently acquired. Had a bunch of these old crusty bad caps in it. You ever get a hold of one of these things, don't even bother turning it on until you verify those caps have been changed, or you can damage your transmitter. So at this point, I'm ready to check it out. I've got the transmitter warming up. I have a receiver over here that's going to be listening to the audio out of the Viking II. And I'll take you through 40 and 80 meter tune-up on the transmitter. Here we go. Here's the Johnson Viking II, which I recently picked up at the Kalamazoo, Michigan Hamfest. At first, I thought I had found a CDC model because I saw this sticker. But nope, I was wrong, because the CDC models say that after the Johnson Viking II, alright? So this is not a CDC model, unfortunately. But either way, the sticker makes it look pretty cool, and it fooled me at first. Let's look over the setup. So obviously we have the transmitter that we're going to test. Over here, I've got a Drake watt meter and a dummy load. And then on the other side, over here, swoop over, we have a realistic DX150B receiver, and we're going to be listening to the Viking on 40 meters when I get to that band. But initially, we're going to start the test on 80 meters. So I'm going to show you how to tune this thing up in 80, and then we'll band up to 40, and I'll show you how relatively easy it is to tune up a Johnson Viking II. So here we go. Our first tune-up will be on 80 meters, okay? So if you have the manual on your Viking II, there are some pre-setups. They have some charts in there that show you approximately where to put your controls for the quickest tune-up on each band, okay? The most critical is to make sure, especially on 80 meters, that your roller inductor is somewhere under the 20 mark, okay? If you're higher up on the roller inductor, you may achieve a dip, but you're going to be on the wrong frequency. So remember, when you're at 80 meters, you're on the low side of that inductor. When you're on 10 meters, you're going to be on the high side, so you may be between 80 and 90 on that 0 to 100 scale. All right? So here we are, got it fired up. You can see the meter has nothing indicating for oscillator, and that's because I have not flipped the switch over to CW. So now that I've done that, it kicks on the crystal in this case, because I'm using crystals, not the VFO, right? As you see, there's no VFO. So we go to oscillator, and that is telling you that it sees the crystal. If I went to position 0, see how it jumps way up? It's because it's not being loaded and it's not oscillating correctly, right? So then you go to buffer, and you're going to take your oscillator control, and you're going to peak that, okay? Then you go to grid, and you're going to take your buffer at this point, and you're going to peak that, okay? Now you want to back down your drive because you're looking for somewhere between 5 to 8 milliamps of current, and that will change when we transmit, okay? So leaving everything where it's at in CW, at this point, we're going to go to plate. You'd see nothing on the meter because we're not transmitting. Then you're going to turn on your high voltage, and we're going to roll the old inductor until you see a dip. So here we go. You see there? So we're dipping just under 300 milliamps. At that point, you want to go back and take a look at your grid and make sure that you're somewhere around 5 to 8 milliamps. If you look over here at the old watt meter, you'll see we got a little over 100 watts, about 110 watts. And if I were to play with the dip, you would see that wattage change, right? So you're looking for maximum wattage. At the same time, you're looking for a dip on that plate meter. So there's the initial tune-up in CW mode of the Viking II on 80 meters. Now if you wanted to go to phone, you'd simply flip the switch to phone, right? Take a look at your plate. It's going to go down a little bit, because now you're pulling some modulator current. There's about 55 to 60 milliamps of modulator current. So if I were to take my microphonium at this point. Now you got modulation. So that is all you have to do to go into phone operation. You want to go back to CW? Flip the switch. And of course, if you want to transmit CW, you need to plug in a key. All right, let's go to 40 meters now. To advance to 40 meters, the first precaution, anytime you select different bands on a transmitter, make sure that you're not in the transmit mode. Because if you flip these switches while that plate voltage is on, you're going to damage the transmitter. Okay, so that's off. You can leave this as CW, that's fine. Band now is at 40. Crystal position 2, because that's where I have the 40 meter crystal. All right, so we're going to go back. All right, so we'll put our meter to oscillator. You can see we have oscillator current, so the crystal is working. All right, we're going to go to buffer. We're going to take our oscillator control now and peak it. There it is. Go to grid. We're going to take the buffer, peak that a little high, about 5 to 6 mils, remember, for grid. So we're good there. Now we're going to go to plate. Remember, 80 meters was down under 20 on the scale. So let's say that 40 meters is going to be up around 40, right? So I'm going to go ahead and advance that up. I have not touched my coupling, okay? I'm not worried about that right now. We'll advance that when I need more power out of this thing. So let's go ahead and go into transmit and dip the plate. There she is. And you can see she's dipping way under 200 mils. That's because we need more coupling. We're down to 80 meters. So now as I advance with my inductor, I also need to advance some capacitance for the load. Okay, so here we go. Remember, every time you go back and forth between adjusting these controls, you have to turn off that plate. Okay, so coupling 3. You can see I'm building plate current. We'll try 4. Yeah, that's a little high. So I'm going to go back to 3. I don't really need to load this thing up. Now you can take your fine coupling, get a little power that way if you want. So there we are, CW. I see my grid dropped, so we'll bring that back up. Plate. What do we got for wattage? Just a little under 100 watts, which I would expect because I'm not loading this thing up all the way. All right, now we're going to go to phone. Same deal. There's my plate current. There's my modulator. There's my grid. Every bit of that is just fine and dandy to get on the air. Okay, you don't have to run this thing full bore to have a good signal. So at this point, we're loaded up. I'm in phone, and I have the DX150 over here, right? So let's take a listen to the audio. All right, so here we go. Remember, the old DX150 is right next to this thing. I've got a little banana plug hanging out of the back with a 1-foot antenna, and the RF gain is cranked back because I expect some feedback. Like I said, a little feedback. There she is, the Johnson Viking II. Get way back here. There we go. So I'm not running my modulation very high, as you can see from the meter. And if I can stop this feedback, I'll demonstrate what happens when we really modulate it. Hold on. Alright, so I had to turn the speaker on the DX150 because I have a lot of feedback when I bring my audio up. So I'm still in transmit mode, but I haven't keyed the old microphonium. So here we go. Yeah, lots of feedback. But look at that meter flying, that modulation. That's what the old Viking IIs are known for. They got great audio. A lot of people say it's communication grade audio, kind of pinched up, but I sure don't hear it. She sounds beautiful. Alright, so let me give you a close-up view of the front panel of this Viking II. It's got some wear, but man, it really does look good for the age. I think this is like a 1957 radio, okay? Now, let's take a peek underneath the hood. I got an auxiliary light on over here. But now I want you to see inside and see the glow of things. So kill those shop lights. You can see the old tubes glowing away. Well, that wraps up the little tune-up demo of the Johnson Viking II transmitter. And you know, if you were here, you'd also get to enjoy the lovely smell of the dust and dirt burning off those tubes. The whole shop smells like an old vintage radio. I just love it. It's part of the appeal of tube-type equipment. Anyway, I enjoy doing this stuff, and I plan on doing many more presentations on ham radio equipment. This Viking II is one of 6 that are awaiting repair. So if you'd like to see some more detailed pictures of this Johnson Viking II, I'm going to post it on my website as D-Lab's newest project. So take a look at dlabelectronics.com, and soon this baby will be up for sale. We'll see you again.